Hi, my name is Terry Diviak. I'm a photographer based in Seattle, Washington area in the Pacific Northwest, and this is the first in a series of videos I wanted to put together for YouTube. It's kind of like a story behind the photos. Like many photographers, a lot of you probably just take your images, keep them on the hard drive, you look at them periodically, but no one gets to see them. And I have what I think are a lot of great travel photos. I also have some good videos as well. So I thought it'd be kind of fun to combine those two to create like a story behind these images. The first one I'm going to start off with in this video, I'd like to share with you, I'm going to go all the way back to 2002. So I recently had some videos that I had shot in Thailand and Cambodia converted so you can all see them. I use iMemories.com. They're not a sponsor, by the way. They just did a great job. So they worked out really well. And so back in 2002, I took a trip to Thailand with my friends Teresa and Brandon, and it was a fantastic trip. I'd never been over there before. This is back when I had my first Nikon D1x that Teresa had purchased as a gift for me, which was very generous at the time. And so we were able to get some great photos during that trip. And like most trips, we started off in Bangkok and we went to the Grand Palace, and there we met our good friend Tony. Tony became our guide for the next week.
First, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Rin, or my nickname we can call is Tony. Tony, it is nice to meet all of you and welcome to the Grand Palace.
And Tony was very knowledgeable, knew all the history. Of course, he's a tour guide and he has to know this stuff. But not only that, he was quite inexpensive. So he was only $100 a day with a driver. That included gas and everything. And it was just a great trip. We went from Bangkok all the way down to Pattaya. We went back into central Thailand and then all the way up to Chiang Mai. So the first part of our trip, of course, we did what most people do. We went to see the Lying Buddha. You can see me here walking, putting offerings in the pots. I'm wearing these silly pants. And these pants were great because I was so excited when we got to the Grand Palace that you had to wear, you couldn't wear shorts. We were wearing shorts, and they had these pants. You could rent them. I think they were $3 to rent. I said, I don't want to rent these. These are awesome. I want to buy them. So I ended up buying them. Cost me $10. And you can see I'm wearing these as I walk through. And I've got my camera, of course. And I was taking lots of photos during that time. We then ended up going to the taking a longboat ride, and that was a lot of fun. You really get a chance to see how people live there in Thailand, or in Bangkok rather. And then we ended up going to the floating market, and here's some images from the floating market. Most people go there. I was fascinated by it. There's such great photo opportunities. I really wish I had the photo knowledge I have today back then for that, because that was just a great place to stop. I know it's probably really touristy, but for me, I did really enjoy it. But the neat thing that we did, we also went to a foundry. Tony knew this foundry. Basically what they do is they make Buddhas out of brass, I assume. There's no OSHA laws, by the way. The guy's just pouring the metal, and there's people helping him, and he's wearing a mask, and there's steam coming out. And we also watched the ladies that were actually making like the hands and things like that. It was really quite fascinating. I really did enjoy that. Soon after that, we went up to towards the central part of Thailand, and I won't show it in this video, but here's just a little glimpse. But the next video, I'm going to talk about where we visited a family. So Tony, at the floating market, he said, let's buy some food. I have some friends that live, a couple hours away, and let's go visit them. So anyway, that'll be the next video. But basically what we did is we showed up with a bunch of food, these foreigners, and we took over their house, and they made this wonderful meal for us. They invited us over. Just a fantastic visit. We were only there one night, but it's one of the fond memories I have. But here's where the story gets great. So we then continued up towards the central part of Thailand, and we went to a little village where there's the Aka tribe. And you'll see right here, it was pretty chaotic. My friend Teresa was giving out candies. I know you don't do that now. Back then, we just thought, well, that'd be kind of a fun thing to do for children. But as travelers, you really don't want to do that. You don't want to spoil them. You don't want to, quote, turn people into beggars, as someone once told me. So yeah, I can respect that. But we we met a young boy, and we referred to him today, and even back then, as Mr. 10 Baht. He was extending his hand, he's saying, 10 baht, 10 baht. And I got some really great photos of him. Oh, and there's Olaf. Olaf is making sure the house is guarded, my friend's dog. And anyway, so here's a series of photos that I took on that particular trip. So one of the fun photos, I said, hey Tony, can you do me a favor? Can you get these boys together, get 3 boys together, and I want to do hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil. Well, Tony didn't know what that meant, so I said, okay, one of them has to cover his ears, one has to cover his eyes, one has to cover his mouth. And so that's the photo you see right here. And that was kind of fun. And I also got a nice group shot of all the boys. And they loved it because, you know, back then, you know, digital cameras were fairly new. Of course, on the back I had the LCD, and so I would take pictures of the kids and show it to them. They'd laugh and they'd howl, and they just really had a good time. So I was able to get some really good shots because they were more at ease when I was sharing that. And then here's a video. This is a kind of a funny video. So this pig, you know, the lady was dragging the pig, and the guy's kind of hitting it, as you can see. And here's a photo I got of that. And I asked, well, what are they doing? Is, you know, are they going to butcher the pig? He was squealing. He didn't want to go. It's like, no, they're trying to get him to mate, and he won't mate. So that's kind of a fun thing as well. But Mr. 10 Baht and his friends followed us all around, and they were kind of suspect of us, I'm sure. But you know, I always wondered, you know, do they remember us arriving there? Maybe a lot of foreigners arrived there today, I don't know. But I also thinking, okay, it's 2020. Happy New Year, by the way. And these images were shot in 2012. So Mr. 10 Baht, gosh, he was probably 5 years old. So he's like 23 years old now. And if anyone knows who he is, or the village where he is at, I would love to get in touch with him, love to reconnect, and also would like to just see you know, how he's doing. I'm sure he's got a family now, and anyway, so it was just a fun memory for me. And here's a few more pictures too. So we also had, when we were there was some workers that were working out in the fields, and they were coming back, and this is the first trip I really did. I want to concentrate on doing portraits. So here's a couple portraits I took as well. And today that's even what I do, especially when I take people to Africa. I love to do a lot of portraits. I take a portrait lens this year. This past year I brought an 85mm lens to take some images of the Hadzabe and also of the Maasai, and I encourage you to do that. It's one of those things that you have to kind of step out of your comfort zone. If you're not used to it, it can be a challenge, and a lot of people are kind of afraid to do that. But I always say it's just better to ask for the permission of the people. So what I do is, because obviously I don't speak their language, we always have interpreters, but what I do is I just point at my camera, kind of give a nod, and if they say, yeah, go ahead and take the picture, I'll do that. I'm usually very quick. I don't want to really intrude too much. Like, for example, this older gentleman, he was so happy to see us, and he was just happy to get his photo taken, and it's one of my favorite portraits of that trip as well. And also, Mr. 10 Baht also. So that's it for the story behind Mr. 10 Baht and my images in Thailand. So I'd love to have you subscribe, because I'm going to be doing more of these, and that way you get notifications, which I think is really important. Also, please leave a comment. That would be fantastic. Constructive criticism is encouraged as well. What am I doing right? What am I doing wrong? I want to make this interesting for everyone. Also, give me a like. That always helps also as well. And one thing I'd like to leave you with, I would say that travel is an appreciating asset. You always appreciate it after you've done it, especially as a photographer. I hear these videos and images you saw were taken back in 2002, and I'm just loving going through them again. It's just been so much fun to kind of take a look back at Mr. 10 Baht and my travels with Tony and my other friends as well. So anyway, thank you so much, and I will see you next time.